back to the Film Alchemist podcast, the show where we take the movies we love, break them apart, to find out what gives them their magic. I'm your host, Josh Griffey, joined as always by my friend, co-host, and old lady thief,
Alex Dandino.
All right, before today's exquisite episode, award-winning episode, people, it's official. We're on Patreon. That's right, patreon.com/Film Alchemist Pod. The best way to help us grow the show, the best way to help us keep the lights on over here, but also a fantastic way for you to get some more amazing content. We have a massive Patreon exclusive library that's ever growing. We got our mini-series, Tales from the Crypt. We got commentaries. We can even record a specific double feature at your behest if you are so kind over there. Again, that's patreon.com/Film Alchemist Pod. The best way to support the show. Thank you guys who already support us. You know it means the world to us. Thank you as well for those of you who are about to, on the fence maybe. Thank you. If you can't financially support to the show, we get it, man. There are free and easy things you can do to help podcasts like us, right? You can subscribe to the podcast. You can subscribe to the YouTube Film Alchemist. You can leave ratings and reviews, 5-star ratings and reviews on every app you find us. That helps us defeat the algorithmic martial artist whoremongers that we're raging against. If you could help us with that, 5 stars, why you like us. You can email us, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. There's also something really important you can do for us. We are on all the socials as well. If you have a movie-loving friend, reach out. Share an episode with your movie-loving friend. Maybe it's a movie they love. Maybe it's a movie they should love. Maybe it's a movie they hate, and we're going to swing them the other way. Just send that message, man. Let them know that we're out there. Those are things that you can do that help the show enormously and don't cost anything if that's not something you're able to do. More than anything, guys, thank you for joining us. Oh, right. The Pods won Oscars. Late.
Is that what we're doing?
I'm workshopping still. We have time, man. We record in the ancient past. That's how tricky we are. We're time travelers of the podcast. Essentially, the thesis of this month's curation. We were talking about how joyous the Oscars were this year, right? In a way that I think a lot of Oscars are not. This was the year that when I was at my watch party, and just me personally, man, when they kept, announcing who won, actress, actor, picture, director. I mean, my house was screaming. We were jumping out of our seats euphoric. We were so happy that all these people were winning. Mm-hmm. So we said, what if we take the 4 best actor winners, right? All people who have had long runs in Hollywood that you honestly didn't know that was going to bring them to that Academy Awards stage. Mm-hmm. So we thought it'd be a really kind of fun journey to take our Academy Award winning actors this year especially and go back and look at some of their early catalog. So we hope you guys enjoyed School Ties with Brendan Fraser. Today, we're going to the Wayback Machine, my high school era, I think. This was the Y2K era, right?
This is 2000?
2000. Yeah. So this was this was like a pivotal, I was becoming a man age of my life. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon with Michelle Yeoh. And I think what's interesting about this movie is this was the big foreign kind of like martial arts film that broke through. Yeah. This one had a real shot. It was the most nominated film at the Academy Award that year, I believe. I think it had 9.
It had
9 to 11 nominations.
10.
Yeah,
10 nominations.
So somewhere in that range, right? It had a ton of nominations. I still think it is the floating fighting that took it out of contention against Gladiator. Also, Gladiator's an all-time great movie, so you kind of run into a buzzsaw there. Yeah. But there's shit you see in the Academy Award nominations, right? We pulled this up. And Soderbergh won for director, right?
For Traffic, yeah.
Or Traffic, yeah. Ang Lee lost, which I think kind of sucks, right? But this is where I thought this was interesting. Gladiator beating Crouching Tiger does not shock me in any way, shape, or form. Chow Yun-fat not nominated for Best Actor for Master Lee Mubai. Michelle Yeoh not nominated for Best Actress for Yushu Lin. Zhang Ziyi not nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Jen Yu, right? And you see this, right? So, like, Aaron Brockovich won, Julia Roberts won. Benicio del Toro as Javier Rodriguez. That was a great role. Marcia Gay Harden for Pollock. All right. But, like, they have two best supporting actresses, right? Kate Hudson and Frances McDormand from fucking Almost Famous. And we got no room for Zhang Ziyi for best supporting actress. Are you fucking kidding me?
Listen,
Are you fucking kidding me? For best actress, right?
look, I get your point, but
honestly, Ellen Burstyn should have probably been in best supporting. That would have rolled her in. Laura Linney. I mean, you can't talk. I hate talking shit about these actresses that got some shine. But what it said to me was like this big motion picture, this big foreign film, right? It won all the awards, but it can't really win like the big awards. We're boxing it out of, the acting cat. Like,
well, this
and
is
so there's a thought of me where it's like Michelle Yeoh. If not for that film, how is Michelle Yeoh getting back to that stage? Right. And I think it was one of those that felt like that was the shot that was missed.
I guess. I mean, like, I think you just got to, like, if you contextualize it in the time, like that, I think is the harder thing. Like, for me, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was like, I remember seeing the trailer, and then this sounds like my parents wouldn't take me. No, like, I told my parents, was like, hey, I really want to go see this movie in the theater. So they had to
my parents were not going to watch a subtitled martial arts film in the theater.
Well, yeah, my parents didn't go with me. Like, this was like a thing. I was like, I really want to go see this movie in the theater. And they're like, cool. I'm like, okay. So I actually remember we went to, in Seoul, I think it was either in Solon or Macedonia, Ohio. Because there were two, like, we didn't have a movie theater in Aurora, but there was like, every city around us had a theater, but the one that I always went to was either in Solon or Macedonia because they had the nicer theaters. So we went to the Macedonia theater. It was me and Matt Gomer and Andy Koboljanik went to go see this movie. I remember the names. I don't know how.
Did you guys have like a sexual dalliance here? This seems like a very like burned in your brain memory.
It was because it was the first time. It was the first movie I saw in theaters. It was foreign language for one, and I remember a lot of people.
There's a good chance it was my first foreign language movie in the theater as well.
I really wanted to see it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll go." So my parents drove us to the theater, dropped us off, and I remember 2 or 3 people when we said, like, because like, you tell people when you make these when you're kids, especially before the advent of cell phones and stuff like that, you're like, what are you going to do this week? And we're like, oh, I'm going to go see Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Like, oh, the subtitles movie? And I'm like, yeah, because it's fucking awesome. It looks awesome. We went and sat in the theater, and I was just blown away. Like, that was like a huge moment for me because, one, I was like, wow, I'm seeing a movie that I normally would never have seen because I live in America, and I would be denied this awesomeness. And then, 2, this is absolutely... like, there's no way American audiences would love this movie. I don't understand why we would have been denied this. It was crazy to me
Honestly,
think that this wouldn't happen.
I actually disagree, man. I think that what I love about this movie is how it doesn't quite fit with the American kind of storytelling.
I'm not saying it fits with the American storytelling. I'm saying it has the aesthetic for an American audience. Like, that's why I thought it was great.
Outside of the action scenes, I think this movie is not the kind of thing that would normally break through here, right? Like, I think there are movies that there's American cinephile audiences that love foreign films and they embrace them for what they are.
Sure.
I think this is a hard sell. To this day, every time I watch it, I'm like, man, if they would have taken out the fucking floating. Like, there's something about the way when they're like running across buildings where it's like their legs are moving, but they're not touching anything. It's like, it just doesn't work for me more than it works. Because, like, when they're on the ground fighting, you're like, the choreography is stunning.
Sure.
Like, when Michelle Yeoh and Zhang Ziyi are having their showdown at the end, how long will you last as my enemy? You're like, that fight fucking rocks.
Yeah.
Because they're down on the ground. But there's something about them, like, floating about that just... we're Americans, man. Like, we like Rocky movies. We like to feel the punches. And this one kind of floats its way through. To this day, I've still never... in my mind, I'm like, what if this was just a historical piece? Like a historical fantasy that didn't have the floating, how much closer would it have been to taking on Gladiator?
I'll tell you right now, the reason I liked this movie was actually a big part of the action that I liked in this movie was that.
Well, I mean, it's a superhero movie. It makes sense. It just visually to the eye, it makes me be like, they're not fighting hard. Like, what's happening? Right? Like, I just have never loved the floating. But I think they use it to good effect towards the end.
Right? I think it's used to good
effect.
But
it's like her. So it's like Zhang Ziyi and Chow Yun Fat fighting in the tree.
Mm-hmm.
That just looks fucking stupid. Like when they stop and they do the slow-mo of like the leaves falling as they're like taking each other in. Beautiful shots. Why are you fighting on the fucking twigs? Like, it looks fucking stupid. It just looks stupid. When she's trying to shake him off and he can't be shook, that part, great. But it has this thing where I'm like, if you took the floating out and you just kept this in the dirt with them doing awesome choreography, could they have gotten 20% closer to chasing Gladiator for Best Picture? That's always been my conspiracy theory. With this movie I love.
I don't. Here's the thing. It's a fine conspiracy. I do not think it's true, and here's why.
I think for a lot of American audiences, it doesn't feel like they're fighting.
I no. To your point though, no, I do not think that that's like. I don't think that would have.
You don't think something where John Wayne in his old estate was like, I don't think so, even though he was dead by then.
No,
whoever Clint Eastwood's watching out that fucking face, like that Gran Torino face, like. Foreigners not fighting with fisticuffs.
What's with all this floating? I don't understand what that
When Eastwood's just mad as shit, I'm going to have to get more new teeth.
I guess I'll make Jersey Boys. No.
Yeah.
I don't think that...
I don't agree with Clint on much, but I think they should have fought. I think they should have had real fights.
I don't think Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon would have gotten any closer that year to winning. Because Gladiator is a fucking incredible movie.
It's a juggernaut.
But
they're very similar. They run very similar paths.
No. But the way I would... It's 2000. And... just culturally, I don't see America being like, oh yeah, absolutely, that is for sure Best Picture. And also at that point, it's one of those things where like I think the fact that
if you take Gladiator out of that race, it fucking annihilates. I mean, I'm guessing Traffic would have been the second vote getter.
Traffic probably would have won.
To me, this movie, I would vote for this over Traffic myself. But
like I think the cultural relevance aside, I think that Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon broke through for two reasons. One is because fight choreography is pretty incredible, even with the floating, which I really like.
Absolutely.
I think it's very interesting. I think it's a very interesting aesthetic. The other thing too, and this is something I read the other night after I was watching it, is Ang Lee went through and actually, because Ang Lee was educated in the West, Ang Lee went through and was very specific to make sure that this movie broke through to American markets. He did all of the subtitle translation himself.
Oh,
so nice. He made sure the subtitles were very specifically built for Western audiences.
Got to cater to us Westerners. We're not learning anything from you.
Which I think is very interesting, and I think is actually, and even though people are like, I don't read subtitles, that's not for me. I gotta tell you, that is probably a huge reason this movie broke through, is because there's it's not that we're bad at reading. Well, some of us are. I don't know. It's not that we're bad at reading. It's that we need a story set up a very specific way, and when it's not set up in a way that is culturally relevant for us,
we want to know who's in the streets and who's coming to the sheets. We got to know these things.
We are. We're a discerning audience, Americans.
No.
Does he have a big gulp?
That is an
can't believe
point,
that.
Though, right? Is that how it feels relatable even as people are floating through the movie?
I agree.
But there are times when the floating works really well. When they had the fight scene in the restaurant that they used in Legend of Drunken Master, right? Part 2, I think.
Yeah.
Which actually is the first foreign film I ever saw in the theater. They did an American release of it, and it fucking blew my mind. The same restaurant, right, where all the dudes roll up, and they've got all their different weapons, which I always love.
Right.
And they're going to fight her. right? And she's like, iron arm. And he's like, fucking performance enhancing. His little, his ego deflates. His ego can't stay up anymore. Her being able to jump up and down between levels, right? The kind of floating in that environment works really well. Because it's used to shift the scene, and then you get back to just fucking awesome martial arts choreography.
Right.
It works way less on the rooftops and in big open courtyards, right? Where Michelle Yeoh's wasting half of her fighting power to just try to, like, keep her on the ground.
Right.
You're like, all right. But, like, in this thing, choreography's great. I'm just saying, take the floating out. The floating became a memorable and weaponized barb with my group of friends about that movie.
I just don't have... It's not a thing for me. Like, for me, what it is it's a really... It's all about an aesthetic for me. And because
I
it's
agree with that totally.
I think that's what works for me is because it's so different. Because it's so different and something I had not seen before. When I was a kid, I thought it was just so fascinating. Now when I watch it when I'm older, I get your point. Like, there is, because the fight choreography on the ground is so tactile and so kinetic. So and
she's
great.
Got this like vibrating, like bouncy. I mean, it's just really visually arresting.
So when that happens, I think what it is when the floating thing starts happening, it almost, and it's so quiet too. Like this is the other thing too.
See, that I like about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the sound effect is silence, and this is really fascinating. But I think that's what always threw me off when I was younger. Was when I was watching it, I was always like, how come you can't hear them walking? Like, that's like that American audience thing is like, we're so used to everything being 80 yard, everything being a Foley artist thing, which is cool. When it's the silence of, like the stealth of, oh, wow, this
like
fighting style.
A little robe fluttering.
Yeah. Like that is so specific a vibe.
Thank God there were no strong breezes when they were fighting. Fucking
I think they were all wearing some form of undergarment, but
they're all wearing like those fucking street racer capes. Neither here nor there. I think where this movie soars, right? Because it is kind of this fable, this martial arts fable. So there's an unreality built into a lot of it, right?
Right.
Fine. Because essentially this movie is a colliding intersection of 3 love stories. Because you've got Zhang Ziyi is being forced to marry, but she doesn't want to.
Right.
So she wants to marry the Falconeer of WAP, right? She wants to go back to that cage and get it wet.
I love this nickname you
Any guy who's skinny and just recreationally falconeers, I feel like fucks. But then I try to imagine the American version of them, and I'm like, oh, I don't think they do.
Well, you said it before the pod.
If you imagine who's the guy in your hometown who falconeers, and do you think he's getting laid all the time? Just put that in your head. Your local small-town falconeer. Do you think that guy's getting laid? Probably not. So maybe this falconeer is exceptional in the puss department. Fine.
Maybe at this time in history, like there was like, what are the 3 hottest professions? Meditating monk, swordsmith, falconer. Those are the 3 things that get the ladies
giant
going.
Forearms, right?
Yeah.
Show me what them hands do. Mm-hmm. Falcons are inherently sexy and sleek.
Right.
Totally get it. Meditating monks, though, they're the couch potato of their day.
Li Mu Bai would say differently.
Li Mu Bai's out whipping asses. He's not meditating. His feet are meditating their way across your jaw.
What I'm saying is meditating. Everyone always talks about how they're meditating. Yeah. Like everybody knows deep down.
Li Mu Bai got bored of meditating. He's like, I need to come back and fight more. So what we know is that Li Mu Bai is not a spiritual man. The meditation, he's like, I got really sad, so I came back and started kicking motherfuckers.
I think that's the thing I love the most about the opening of this movie is like, so they sit down and they're having tea, and they're just like, oh, you must have, and he was like, yeah, I just reached another place that my mentor never told me about, and she's like, oh, enlightenment? He's like, no, I got like mega depressed. Wasn't cute.
When I stopped and thought about the totality of how I've spent my life and my actions, and it bummed me out. So I said, hey, maybe she still wants to get it
out,
in.
Man.
That's how he said it to try to be romantic. Something was pulling me back, and it wasn't my conscience. Wink, wink, wink.
Well, Certé tells her too. He's like, but I love that when she takes so she takes the Green Destiny to Surtay to be like as a gift because Limu Bai is giving up the life.
Guardian, yeah.
Yeah, like Limu Bai is like, I'm giving up this life, not my life no more. And
I can't be pondering. This is ridiculous.
But Surtay, like, they're sitting there and he's like, hey, are you two ever going to get down or what? Like, that's like my favorite is basically, he's like, you realize him giving up this sword means booty call. Like, come on.
He gives the sword to me. He's going to pass the sword to you.
Surtay's really putting it on Front Street and literally just nobody. I love
his line because he goes, some people who are really brave and heroes are cowards when it comes to emotions.
Emotions, yeah.
Because that's the thing, right? The young love story is like this unrequited kind of wild will burn the world down love. Limu Bai's love story, right? With what's her character name? Michelle Yeoh's character name. Their love story is it's forbidden love.
It's Yushu
Lin. That's right.
Yeah, Lin.
So that's theirs is this kind of forbidden love, right? That Limu Bai was brothers with, not like an actual brother, but like brothers with Lin's husband. When he dies, they kind of both are like, this can't happen, even though they clearly have loved each other. So there's still, based on this old time responsibilities of roles and genders, their martial arts creeds, they're not letting it happen.
Right.
And some of the best stuff in this movie is watching those forbidden glances between the two.
Right.
There are moments when they look at each other and it tells an entire fucking past of this emotional journey without having to say anything. Right? Them just watching and knowing. There's a scene when they stop near the middle of the film in this small little hut for tea. And Limu Bai just takes her hand and puts it on his face. And it's glorious. And then he immediately turns around and says, nothing we can hold in this world has permanence.
Can I
stop
real quick
and say... Fucking Limu Bai, what are you doing?
Can I stop and say this real quick? Because I've never properly noticed this. But Chow Yun-fat is fucking handsome, dude. Holy shit.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. If you ever watch, what is it, Replacement Killers? Shit like that.
Like,
he was a good-looking man.
I think I'm just used to him
even with the world's dumbest haircut.
I think I'm just used to him being an action star and not paying attention. But like in these movies, in this movie, he gets all these great quiet
is there
moments.
any ceremonial haircut from any other culture that looks good?
No.
I guess like we used to have like the Friar Tux, right, with like the bald spot in the middle. Like that's a bad look.
I was about to say I feel like every haircut based in some form of religious idolatry or this haircut. Be
bald, honestly, than most of them.
I've never. I should.
Do you think that's important? It's like fucking kneel before God and look like a fucking dude.
Look like a fucking dickhead. Yeah. Make yourself as unattractive to women as possible, and then bow before God.
And Chow Yun-fat's like, I tried. It didn't take.
I tried, but I am too goddamn handsome.
Sorry,
yeah. I should look up why, because I've always wondered why that is the haircut. I should have looked this up before the show, and I just don't know why that is the traditional haircut.
Yeah, so someone can grab you by your patail and whoop your ass.
But yeah, sorry. Didn't mean to derail. Chow Yun-fat, though, gets these like wonderful moments where you just see him, and I was watching it last night, and I'm just like, I am lost in how handsome this man is. My goodness.
He's got that stare, dude. He's got that stare.
He does, that smolder. Yeah, that's what it is.
So you're really rooting for them. And Michelle Yeoh, too. Like, they're just, like, beautiful people. Like, this movie is loaded with beautiful people, right? I even thought that. I was like, even though Zhang Ziyi, I mean, just, like, it's stunning.
Yeah.
To look at how perfectly
the whole
beautiful.
Cast is
yeah, the Falconeer with just cheekbones his fucking bird could land on. It's like, dear God. You know what I mean? Like,
what did you call him before the pod? He's like...
The Falconeer of WAP?
No, he's like... Got the Jadep vibe.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah. Like before it all went bad, Jadep, a falconer. He's like, bird, fetch me a wet ass pussy. Go! And fucking flies off. And the bird's like, got it. Mission 500. Yeah, no, stunning looking people. But watching them not be able to fully go for it, right, is beautiful in this film. There's even a scene when she's like, hey, Lee Mubai's coming tonight, when they get to the school, and her mom's like, oh, I'll make the bed. It's like, damn, Mom, chill. But this all is this build up to this moment at the end, right? When Lee Mubai gets hit with the poison dart, the same one that killed his master, right?
Yeah.
So he avenges his master and kills the Jade Fox, but he's going to die. Watching Michelle Yeoh, and this is the moment where you're like, I don't know what category she had to be nominated to me for this movie. Had to. Like, it's ridiculous that she wasn't, right? The only excuse that it's a foreign film, maybe. I don't know enough about the politics of the Oscars at the time. She had to have been nominated for this movie to me. And that scene when, in her last breath, the man that she loves so fucking much, and this is why they both should have been nominated first time. And she just goes, don't waste your last breath. Use it to, I know you don't like enlightenment. I know you don't like it, but like, maybe do it for a moment, right? Do as you're trained to do.
Right.
And he turns to her and he just says, all my breaths have been wasted. Right? Like, I would rather be a spirit by your side than to enter heaven without you. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I will waste this last breath to tell you what we've both already known, but I'm going to say it, is that I love you. In that fucking speech he gives, right? Like, I'll never be lonely even as a damn spirit because I'd be floating by your side.
Mm.
And watching her try to remain stoic, right? To tell him it's okay to not tell her.
Oh, dude.
And then he falls and she grabs him. You're like, that's it right there. That's the fucking money-making moment. That this unrequited love, to see it end in this quiet but absolute nuclear detonation level of emotion.
Right.
While, again, remaining quiet, remaining small, remaining, like, in line with who these people are is just, if that doesn't get you up there, like, I don't know, man. Like,
if
that
you want
scene
to talk
is
about,
lovely.
If you want to talk about enlightenment, like, this, like, if we were a enlightened society, this absolutely, this moment right here, yes, would have totally won these 2 Oscars at that moment. But
honestly, even if they don't win, you got to put respect on these actors. Like, you see that scene and you're like, these actors must be respected.
I agree. It's truly upsetting. But like, for instance, like the BAFTAs gave Ang Lee, Best Director, like, and it won. Oh God, dude, I can't remember what else. It won so many. Obviously, like. Yeah.
I think we always tend to do American act or British actors. We're fine with British actors getting up.
You know what's crazy?
I think there is just a part of that. But Michelle Yeoh in this moment, you're like, when is she going to get a role that is more primed for award season than this movie again?
Right.
Right? There's a world in which this goes down as like, this was as close as she got. A great legendary career.
You know what's crazy though is even they didn't even win Best Acting awards at the Hong Kong Film Awards that year.
That's what I mean.
In the Mood for Love one, which is a hard one to beat because
that's a great fucking movie too.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what I'm saying. They're not competing against In the Mood for Fucking Love, are they? They're competing about E. Brock. Not to talk shit from the past. I haven't seen that since my mother made us watch it.
It's that moment.
You know
alone
what though? I actually hate trying
sealer.
to pluck awards from other people who I'm happy that won them.
I'm not.
To replace. I'm just saying the fact
it's
that
not
they
a plucking
were not
of an award.
even nominated.
Yeah,
because the Oscars, they recognize this film a bunch.
Yeah,
and they just didn't recognize it. Fine, you're like, all right, that just wasn't their flavor. How are you going to put it in for everything and not recognize what is the thing that makes this movie rise above a lot of other films that try to break through here? The ability to absolutely sink into these characters and empathize with where they are.
Right.
In a fucking period piece. Right? A period piece fairy tale from another country. We are so instantly able to understand that moment.
Right.
It's okay. You haven't said it your whole life. Don't say it. No, I gotta say it.
That's
and then finally getting to touch and hold the man that she loves only in his death. When she takes the sword to Zhang Ziyi and she walks over, she drops Lee Mubai and walks over like a stone cold fucking killer.
Yeah.
And she stops the sword by Zhang Ziyi's head and she just goes, whatever path you take, just be true to yourself. this person who hates this woman, right? This woman led to the death of her lover, right?
Yeah.
Or who she wanted to be her lover. And she just stops and says, I just lost everything. I wasted an entire life because I was not true to myself. And gives her the gift of letting her leave and says, don't do the same thing. Like, we as an American audience, we cut through all the things that seemingly would be hard for an audience to get through. You totally empathize with that moment. I'm so fucking mad and broken that I can't even fight anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you, this is going to be you if you don't fucking stop. Like, I mean,
Right.
It's so instantly relatable on an emotional human level.
Can I ask about the ending? Are we there yet? Can I ask about...
Let's save the ending, because we haven't talked about...
Because that's like the
a
thing,
lot of the other
like,
stuff, but...
what we're talking about is...
That was another thing.
Right
A lot
now.
of people I knew hated the ending of this movie. But
that's why I want to talk about it.
I completely disagree. Spoiler alert. I think they're fucking cool.
I think it's a cool ending. But
I think it's fucking cool. So the other story we see is that the Jadep of Falconeers is fucking raiding. He's pillaging. We do like a Lawrence of Arabia segue.
Yeah.
He gets her out of the caravan. Well, she chases his ass down.
We're talking
I'm
about
gonna
Jen.
fight you. I'm going to get you, right?
Right, Jen.
So Jen's chasing him down. And right, they have this really like
Because he takes the comb.
Right, he takes her comb.
Mm-hmm.
They have this bizarre kind of foreplay ritual of like trying to murder each other.
Yeah.
Like when you stab someone and then it turns into like halt.
Yeah, it's like it's a murder boner, you know. It's the thought of extinguishing a human life is what it's.
Yeah, no.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. We call them serial killers here in America, but you know, to each their own, right? When you get an erection from
what are you
gonna
do?
do harm to others,
when you get an erection, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Dahmer's like, I get it, man. This movie rules. I want to watch this film again.
We'll sit down and watch this after Return of the Jedi.
Do you see the part where she stabbed the guy? That got hard. Did you? He's holding a knife to the guy. Are you hard? I'm hard.
Are you hard? I'm hard.
I mean,
our version of Dahmer's turning into church lady.
Yeah, they are kind. They're not that far off. I bet if you asked Dana Carvey, a big chunk of that was Wisconsin. But yeah, so they form this like can never be relationship, right?
Yeah.
He lets her go back to the world. Later, he jumps in and he's like, I should have never let you go. Come with me. Don't get married, right? He's out here running amok in the streets, attacking her parade. He wants her back. This part of the story, I think, is also pretty fucking relatable for us. We don't have arranged marriages here and this and that. But this, you know, your parents want you to do one thing, you're going the other. The thing that is interesting is this lady at the turning point of how she's going to let the rest of her life unfold. She also has this devious mentor, right? The Jade Fox, this murderous bandit who escaped from the temples of Wuhan, or, you know, however she did, right? Essentially that Li Mubai's master was kind of a whoremonger, she says. And so she took the fucking scrolls, killed his ass, and like escaped, right? And she's like, I'll take the power for myself. She felt like she had been fucking betrayed by this learned master, right?
Right.
I'm assuming what she said is true. Like, we don't really have anything in the movie that says that didn't happen.
Right.
So she has this like righteous rage, right? So when she comes to work for Jin's family, she starts working with Jin, right? Like, I can show you how to get out. So this woman who had been crushed by this, you know, institution run by men is now like, I'll help you fucking burn everything down and turning her. So we have these people pulling from all sides, right? You got the Desert Wop, you got the Jade Fox, and then you have Michelle Yeoh's character who's trying to like, she kind of sees what's happening.
Yeah.
And she's trying to pull her like down this traditional path. And I think that's really fucking relatable, right? Is like you have these options before you. And you got all these people fucking pulling you. But no matter who's saying it, you as a young person are kind of like, you know what? Fuck off. I don't want to do what anyone says, right? So even if you're right, fuck off. I hate you. And so I think that is the superpower of this movie that is about superhumans.
Yeah.
Is that ability to fully empathize and sink into this tale.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's it's just hugely relatable. I don't know how else to, like, that to me is my...
A movie you wouldn't think would be. I would contend.
Yeah, I think that's like I think that is the... That is the overarching contention that I think, not contention, that's not the wrong way to put it, but that's the overarching, all the overarching themes in this movie are so unbelievably relatable. But like, that one particularly is like, to me, Jin's story is almost like the perfect reason for like people who are our age when the movie came out to go see it. Like, you're totally there.
Yeah.
You're totally
so
locked
I
in.
fully related, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But like, you're totally locked in for like Li Mubai and Shulin's love story. But then, because like, you're rooting for Shulin a lot of the movie. Like, for me, that's like my favorite character in the movie, and you want everything cool. And so you want everything cool to happen to her. So like, when Jen is basically like, when Jen steals the Green Destiny and all this other cool shit, like Jen becomes essentially like the successor for the sword itself. I remember being
Jen just presents this fucking righteous fury,
right.
Like what Zhang Ziyi accomplishes in this film, right? Is Jen. I mean, she's a fucking flamethrower in this movie. It's a fucking stunning performance to me.
Yeah.
So I love that. Like, I'm an innocent. Like, I'm just a young girl. Let's be like sisters, right? Like, my parents are mean. To like, how long will you last as my enemy? Right?
Well,
like,
yeah, right. But that's like, that to
me.
That to me is the thing about her performance in the movie is, yeah, I feel like I relate to Jen's character so much because we were young, at least at the time when we saw it. But I wanted Michelle Yeoh to be the successor to the Green Destiny. That's how. That's what though.
She couldn't touch Li Mubai.
And
she
that's
didn't
like
want to touch that.
That's like that was the hard thing for me when I was young. I really wanted Michelle Yeoh to inherit the Green Destiny. It was like, in the theater, I remember being upset. I was like, why is she fighting this girl who stole the sword? Has no honor. That doesn't make any sense. Like, I remember being like angry in the theater that
right.
Zhang Ziyi's character,
Michelle Yeoh, is trying to get them away from Wuhan.
Right.
Wuhan has now cost her 2 men she loves.
Right.
She can't have the life she wants because she wants to be in that small room having tea, right? Talking and embracing and loving a man who's like stuck on this. I have to go do this because like eventually old age is just going to take the Jade Fox at this rate.
Right.
I don't know how old that lady's supposed to be, right? But like, what was the average life expectancy back then? Right? Like, this is going to happen one way or another. But he can't stop. He has all these things he has to do, right? So her being bound by this honor code to not be able to embrace her love. And then watching this other young girl who sees these teachings of Wuhan as a way to fucking lash out at the world. I think it's this perfect fucking balance, right? I love watching her righteous fury form and grow, right? And there's that moment where we first see her kind of step out, and those two guys walk up like, look at this little bitch. We're gonna walk up and strong arm this little bitch. And she just fucking chops their swords before they can even get out. They come back with more guys, and she's just like, you little motherfuckers, you want to go? Just fucking flame throwing anyone in her path. Right? Because she wants to fucking feel in charge for once. She doesn't want to be handed away to anything. She wants to fucking have agency. And so it's this, even though she's without honor and presented as this kind of almost light villainous character for a moment, because she's aligned with Jade Fox, who you think she'll like eventually rise above that, there's a righteousness to what she's doing. All of those fucking attacks, you're like, yes, I am down for you to fucking have at these people. Yeah. So I think it's this kind of fire and ice storylines. It just fucking works so well. And honestly, I love the Jade Fox story, right? Just this really hurt person who went out and just started dealing out pain. Her journey is also equally relatable, right? It just takes another path, right? Kind of a sadder, tragic path. But I thought she was fucking great in the movie. That first scene when she like is like, I'm the Jade Fox, and she starts beating everyone's ass. It's great. It's a great fucking scene.
It's awesome.
I love all the actors and characters in this movie so much.
Yeah.
When she fucking stuck that detective in the head, or Inspector with his own little weapon, you're like, holy shit. Like, I wasn't expecting that level of, like, violence in this film. That was, like, real punctuation mark, like, things are different now moment.
I think at that point, because, and I think that what's fascinating is that's such a great character point for her, because, like, no one else is willing to go like that hard in this movie. So the fact that she does,
but she even pauses when she's like, "Oh, he was an inspector. Fuck."
Right, but like she also,
back.
Right, but she's see, that's the other thing too. Is like she's prepped for the heat. She knows what's coming.
Yeah,
but she also is like, I'm willing to take it there. What now?
Yeah. Well, she's like, I'm cool to just keep doing this laundry, but I guess now we're back. Like now the fire's back and I'm in it. But see, even her when Jen turns on her, right? She's still, because Jen's like, I surpassed you long ago. You watch like the hurt in her face, because she's pretty much like, I passed you because you can't read.
Right.
And Jade Fox like, damn, that was a low blow. Not cool. No honor amongst thieves, I guess. And then, but she's like, I still have a lesson or two to teach you.
Yeah.
And she wasn't wrong. She wasn't wrong. She does end up being a teacher one last time in that cave. I just think it's beautiful storytelling. Even though I don't always love these kind of vignette shifting, like half the movie's yours, half the movie's yours. That's not always my favorite way to watch a movie.
I feel like a lot of the time
done really well.
I feel like a lot of time this is like a lot of, I've seen like enough Chinese cinema is a lot of vignettes and a lot of like flashbacks and that kind of thing, especially when we're watching movies about this time period. But to me, it really works. I think because like the overall themes never shift. Like we're always focusing on, especially in this movie, it's always about the pursuit of unrequited love, the pursuit of not just enlightenment, but like enlightened self.
It's the heavy weight of expectations.
Yeah.
Right? What you're supposed to be versus what you really want to be. Right? So to me, that makes sense. Like, you're always pretty bonded to it. And so, at the end when Li Mu Bai is dead, right? Like, the question that I kept asking myself in this movie, why does Li Mu Bai want to train her so bad?
I assume it's because I've always assumed when you see someone try to mentor someone immediately.
He's like, that's another person who does not like meditating. I'm in.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't have to teach the meditation chapter.
Well, it's like I feel like because she's wielding the green destiny in such a way, it's like a fisherman sees another fisherman from afar. Like, you're just like, I can help this person. Maybe I can help this person be a better warrior than I was. And someone who can achieve enlightenment without having to go through without having to go up to the mountain and just see total blackness and be like, fuck this, I am out.
Master, should we learn about enlightenment? Boring.
Boring.
Get that sword out.
Get that sword out. Let's fucking fly in the trees.
Do some sick chops. No, but I am wondering, because villainous, right? Like, she's behaving villainously.
Mm-hmm.
And he even says he let her go the first time because he wanted to see her true self. By offering to then again continue to teach her, or to start after that, it feels like he's saying he saw good in herself, in her true self.
Right.
Which is not what the movie seems to be presenting us. Right? I guess she wasn't killing these men. She was leaving them alive. Maybe that's what he saw. She says, I'll learn with you if you take the sword in 3 moves. He does it in 1 or 2. And then she goes, never, I'll never kneel. What about her does he see? Because I think we, the audience, see something, because we assume she's going to come back to the light. I thought that was a really interesting moment about 2/3 through the movie. Why does he want to continue to teach her so much?
Again, like, for me, it's always been about seeing, like, oh, this woman. To me, it's like, oh, I see another Jade Fox. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think there's a little bit of that, and there's also, I see a little bit of Jade Fox, but I also see a little bit of me, and I don't want her to be as...
He wants to not let there be another Jade Fox?
That, and I also think I don't want her to be as twisted up inside as I am, because I'm in love with this woman and won't even admit it. And
damn, that's heavy.
Like, I think there's a lot of heaviness to that I think that Li Mu Bai wants to alleviate.
There's almost a way that the
alleviate
sword, the sword becomes like a divining rod.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like you have to have some kind of level of inner spirit or strength to even use that sword. So there's kind of this like, almost mystical element to her having that sword that maybe that's what draws them together.
Yeah.
I did think that was strange. But at the end, we see that this is also just like a fucking punk kid. Like just an angry fucking punk kid.
Yeah.
And at the end, when given the time, she does go try to get the poison to save his life. Because that's the thing.
Does,
even after she runs, the Jade Fox is drugging her. Yeah. So Li Mubai dies protecting her from the fucking poison dart attack. He dies from that. And so in a way, he did teach her still. But it's like, I don't know. There was something there I wanted like a little more on why this one. Was it just great skill? Does great skill triumph everything else? That doesn't seem like what the movie would tell us.
I just don't think I don't think it's about that at all. I think what it is it's about
she needed the guidance and he wanted to do that.
Yeah, I think it's about wanting to mentor. She clearly needs
guidance, yes.
It's about wanting to mentor someone who, like, it's like, do you know the weapon you wield? Oh, yeah, it's the Green Destiny. Like, yeah, but do you understand what that actually means? I think that's to me, that was like a big part of it is it's like, you can't let a weapon like that fall into the hands of someone who, it's not just like, oh, they can't.
Right. She's already weaponized her mind and heart against everyone else in the world.
Any falconer-loving lady can wield
Which would probably be a lot of people. That's a handsome-ass falconer.
But
just cheekbones and rib cage for days.
But I think that...
Play him like a xylophone.
I think what it ends up being is you want it to be in the right hands. If this is a legendary weapon, what you can't have it is falling into the hands of a thief or a villain. And that's just like that. I mean, to me, that's like just general storytelling. And that's part of Li Mubai's motivation is like, I want to make sure that this sword that I'm known for, that I've been known to wield for many years, falls into the hands of someone who has not just earned it, but is the right heir to this. Yeah.
Well, the sword itself becomes a character. When people see that sword, they equate it to Li Mubai and justice, right?
Right, exactly.
So it is this kind of bat signal-like thing anyways. Let's talk about the very end.
Okay.
Li Mubai's dead. They return. She finds her love has been sent to this temple of Wuhan, or Wudon, whatever it is. She goes and finds him. You think there's like a hit it and quit it scenario, right? Gets it, leaves. He's like, oh no, she left again. He runs outside. She's standing on the edge of the mist, and we recant this story, or recall this story about this fable about the boy who had a true heart. And if you have a true heart and you jump into the mist off the edge of this mountain, you'll be granted one wish. The falconer looks pretty resolved, and he's kind of sad. He knows what she's going to do.
Right.
We're at a weird kind of fulcrum when we look at this from a wide range, right? Li Mubai has taught her another lesson, has deemed her worthy, and gave his life for her. So did Lin, right?
Right.
She has the Green Destiny, right? She was chosen as the next carrier of this. She has her love, right? The Jade Fox is gone. Despite Michelle Yeoh saying you can't run from your family, you can run from everything else but your family. She's in this moment. Why in this moment does she take that jump? Do you think she does take that jump? What is she wishing for and hoping that her heart is true enough? Because the Falconeer seems like he is pretty resigned to the fact that she's going to splatter on those rocks. And his love is dead.
I think that she...
A woman who we know can fly, can physically fly.
I think that... I don't think he knows quite so well. But like,
oh, they definitely were floating during intercourse for sure.
Off screen. Sorry, my bad. I forgot we're dealing with that.
Yeah, she's
I
like,
think
we're gonna watch Return of the Jedi here, and she's chasing him around the cave. He's like, no. They're floating around. Hey, it's a good film. She's got her little stabbing knife up.
I love that we got Dahmer in on this.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dahmer.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dahmer. Yeah, I think that
it's a baller move to stab a guy in the gut and then be like, now let's fuck.
Yeah,
Drain
that's
blood on me.
a true power move.
I think that I would probably be super turned on.
I feel like
the blood rushes back into my wound so it can fill my erection.
I feel like the metaphor.
We're classy too. We're classy.
I feel like the metaphor is she wants to see if she has the power to come back. Like, because I think that's the problem. Like, Li Mu Bai spent his entire life dedicated to this. Wudong, the art, the whole thing. Like, wanting to be the great swordsman, but not ever experiencing true love. Like, this love that he felt for this woman is buried beneath all these other things for so long. I think she's trying to see if she's powerful enough. So she's trying to see if she can break that cycle, maybe.
You don't think this is a metaphysical thing? You think she's physically jumping into this void?
I mean, we haven't had a lot of metaphysical stuff in this movie. Like, if we had more...
Yeah, that's about it.
I mean, yeah, like the floating thing is... But, like, the floating is actually happening. Like, it's never established that no one's not floating in this movie. No, that's true. So, like, to me, there's no
metaphysical... There is a supernatural element.
I guess there could... I mean, there is... No, yeah, I don't think it's...
Because to me, this is the... You jump in, right? She has her love. Li Mu Bai gave up everything for her. Hopefully her heart and everything is in unison. Heartbroken, but she's been redirected towards the path, you would think. Jumping into that fog seems to be throwing away everything she was just given by Li Mu Bai, right? She's throwing it all away. She doesn't throw the sword in the mist. She throws her fucking self in the mist.
Right.
Even if she can float this and that, we're talking about a fucking mountain. And she's floating way out. She's going to fucking die or fly, I guess. I don't know.
Die or fly, yeah.
The question I then had to ask myself, because I'm like, why would she throw it all away, right? She got her love. I know she's heartbroken about what happened with Li Mu Bai, leaving her family behind, all this, right? Why would she fucking just throw it all away and commit suicide? Then you have to stop and put yourself back in the story context. Is her heart in this moment true and pure? And if it is, what wish is she trying to have filled as she floats in the void, right? That's what happens to the boy in the story. His heart is true and pure. He floats and a wish is given to him. What wish is she trying to ask?
I mean, for me, I feel like it's the wish to be strong enough to return, in my opinion. Because I think that's a hard thing, to be a great warrior. To be a great warrior and to have some, like, when we got married, like, it's always one of those things where, I think about like firefighters and all kinds of people who leave their house to do dangerous things. And it's like, I might not come back. Like, so when you're a great warrior, the idea would be, can I come back to this person? Can I leave knowing that I'm going to return? Like, it's
interesting.
I don't know. That's
I feel like
sort of how
there has to be something she's trying to adjust or correct when she jumps. Is that to just go back before any of this happened? Is it to not ever fucking leave the desert in the first place? Is it to not start working with the Jade Fox? Is it to earlier align herself with Li Mu Bai? I don't know. She's got a lot on her heart.
Yeah.
I do think the ending for me has never been kind of the poetic grand slam I think it wants to be.
Sure.
Because to me, it reads very on a surface level of her quitting. After everything we've gone to, she's quitting. And I hate that read of it. So I keep saying there has to be an intent beyond that. And I've never settled on what I think her wish would be. Because it also seems silly to finally like put all this straight in your head and then say, I want to go back and redo.
I think that it's just...
But we know that time travelers are always sad people, except for accidental time traveler Marty McFly.
I mean, I guess you could say, yeah, I guess the wish could be to go back to the start. But
I don't know.
I think that that's
I think they could have done this moment a little better, if I'm being honest. But I also don't think it's a bad thing to leave your audience asking questions at the end of the movie.
I agree.
What do you think her wish is as she jumps? Or is she full of shit and she's just over it?
Right. I mean, look.
Choose your own adventure.
This is why we watch movies. This is why a movie like this is made, because in 23 years, two fat assholes on a podcast are going to debate what her wish was when she jumped off the bridge. That is the essence of movies. And I think that's why Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon stands the test of time as a great movie. So,
it's visually stunning. The performances are dynamic and amazing. The choreography is fucking awesome. Right? And that's, to me, it's on a surface level, this fucking powerhouse kind of filmmaking. But those quiet fucking character moments, to me,
right,
are where it really just kind of ascends. I mean, this movie really does pretty much everything right. If you're talking about like how you make a movie, this one doesn't miss very often.
Yeah,
just a great film. That's it for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. Hopefully, our episode doesn't make you want to jump into a misty fjord. We'll be back next week with a Jamie Lee Curtis, Jim. We're trying to decide which Jamie Lee Curtis movie still. So we'll get back to you on that. Guys, if you like the show, support the show. Patreon.com/Film Alchemist Pod, the best way to help us grow this thing. We appreciate it that there are those of you who do support us. So thank you. If you have the ability to support the show, thank you as well. If you can't, leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. More specifically, send an episode directly to a movie-loving friend you have, and we'll take it from there. Thank you guys so much for your time. Lots of fun stuff coming up on this feed and on Patreon. Next month is going to be a banger. We're on a really good roll right now, guys. So thank you for your time. For the Film Alchemist, I'm Josh Griffin.
I'm Alex Sandino. Float on, friends. Float on.
Float on, float on. No, that's not how that song goes.
No.
I mean, that's how I would make it go. That's me. We're going to listen to a song here.
Watch Return of the Jedi.